Hey everyone, welcome back to Room for Conversation. I know it's been a while. Please don't attack me. I'm so sorry. I've been, you know, I've been under the weather, honestly. Physically, emotionally, mentally, I've just been under the weather, just going through some things. Um, and I really wish I could have got back with you guys earlier, but here I am. So come on into the room, like, subscribe, comment, you know, let's talk. So I'm gonna be real with you guys. In the first two videos, I really gave y'all some personal things about myself, certain things that I've been through, dealing with growing up in foster care, having a social worker who overstepped her boundaries, ending up homeless for about 4 years. And I told you guys that I would be talking about what a good coach and a good case planner looks like when I come back with part three. To be honest with you guys, I really didn't want to do a part three because part two got really emotional for me, and you know, I just needed a break from that. And I realized that in talking to you guys about foster care and the topics that I want to talk about, I need to put myself in therapy because even though I'm 8 years removed from the system, a lot of that stuff, I still carry with me today and it's still present. So I'm gonna take a break from the foster care series. I'm not stopping them, but I just need a mental break from it because when I did part two, um, there were some things that were happening behind scenes that really just affected me, and you know, I needed my space. I needed to be around, my friends, and I needed, to be around some love and stuff like that. So I just need a break, and I hope that's okay. You know, I'm being honest with you guys, but I did get myself into therapy because, you know, can I be honest with y'all? I'm struggling. I mean, there's so many things that are going right in my life. There's so many things that are going right. I'm grateful, for where I am. I worked hard to be here through, you know, health issues and heartbreaks and just, some of the things that I discussed before in my other videos. I've been through a lot, um, but I'm struggling. Last year, my godfather passed away, and for me, it was unexpected. Um, Before my grandmother died, I was very close to my godparents, and I adored the ground that my godfather walked on. Like, you could not tell me that this man was not the next best thing after Jesus. I really loved him. Aside from my dad, my godfather was like the closest thing that I had to an active father because my dad is my stepfather. That's my sister's biological father. But around that time, he was an alcoholic. And I love my dad. Don't get me wrong. I love him to pieces. And he did the best he could. But it was hard for him. My dad was also, life was beating him up. And he was dealing with a lot from my biological mother. But my godfather filled that gap, you know. Um, I did meet my biological, I'm guessing, father when I was younger, but I only remember seeing him like twice. I don't even remember the man because I was a little girl. But I know he bought me jewelry, and that's all I can remember. And I think he had like a ponytail. I don't know. Anyway, my godfather, Robert Shepard, filled that void for me. They say a girl's first love is her father. And I would say between my stepfather and my godfather, they were like my first loves. But my godfather was just, you ever I'm gonna say this about me. I've never really had a connection to my mom. I don't really know what it's like to have emotional feelings for a parent because my grandmother raised me, and although I knew she was my grandmother, sorry, this video is lagging a bit. Okay, so um, although I knew my grandmother was my grandmother, I knew that. I called her mommy, but I knew she was my grandmother. My godfather put joy in my heart as a little girl. He made me think. He always told me the corniest jokes. He always, taught me something. He always told me like he would take me to Dominican Republic, but I had to learn Spanish first, and he really tried to get me more cultured and stuff. And he was just, we used to go to church, and I would go sit in the second row pew with him and go to sleep on his lap, or color in his little workbook that he would bring with him to church, and play with his tambourine or play with his calculator. And he would get up to go take offering, and I would miss him while he was gone, but I was really proud just to see him up there. And he was just like, he was bigger than life to me. And after my grandmother passed away, we definitely grew apart. It didn't happen quickly. Um, One thing I will say in the beginning of me being in foster care is that, like, whenever I would call him, he would always answer, and he would just talk to me for hours and stuff, and try to be there for me. Excuse me. He would just try to be there for me and tell me that things were going to be okay. But as I got older and as I went through the things that I went through, I started to wonder, why weren't any of my godparents coming to get me? At that point in time, I was not talking to one of my godmothers. And I'm not really sure what the situation was behind that, but there was an incident that happened, and I spoke up about it, and my godmother's relative victim shamed me. Is really what she did. She victim shamed me. A little girl victim shamed me. So when I would come around, people would like give me like funny eyes and stuff like that. And we'll get into that, at a different topic or whatever. But I couldn't help wonder if that was part of the reason why he never wanted to, take me in or adopt me. And I asked him one day, and I was like, why won't you take me? And he said it was because I was a girl. And how I saw it was like, you're my godfather. You were there at my christening. Like, you're my legal godfather. Like, you promised that if something happened to my grandmother, you would step in. And when my grandmother died, nobody stepped in but one person. And she was not legally appointed my godmother. I chose her. And that didn't work out. But it is what it is. I started to feel like he had no interest in me as a person, because the only time I was able to see him is like if I would go to church. Like, he, the relationship, it just got strained until I couldn't take it anymore. And then when I was homeless, I really, really needed help one time. And it was the first time in my life that I ever asked him to help me. And he told me no. And I went off. Because how I see it is this: you're my godfather. You're my father. You're my godfather. God is in front of it, but essentially you're stepping into the role of being a parent who is responsible. During the times of me growing up in foster care, he never made an effort to see me outside of church. I had to go into that church, and I hated going into that church. I hated being there. My grandmother died on that very street. And it was like torture walking on that block, going into that church. And as soon as I walk in there, I know I'm judged. Him and one of my other godmothers would talk about the piercing that I had, because I used to have a piercing right here. But they would tell me, like, that I'm lost and what am I doing, and, talk about the tattoos that I have and stuff. But none of them ever made an effort to be in my life after my grandmother died. They didn't. They would ask my sister, how's Niecy? How's Niecy? I'm your godchild. I'm your goddaughter. You should know how I am. You should have been more active. You're asking my sisters, you asking my sister about how I'm doing lets me know that you don't even know what's going on in my life. Because my sister loves to hang around those people. I don't. And I have my reasons for that. Um, I'm very selective about the company that I keep. And for me, um, it just felt like the only way he wanted to be involved in my life was if I would continue going to Child's Memorial. And I felt so forced to do it because I wanted him in my life that bad as a teenager, but I couldn't do it. My willpower is stronger than my wants. And I don't feel like I should have to fight for a spot in your life when you've been a part of my life since I was born. And nobody knows about me. It's like I'm a secret. I don't understand this. So then, I went through that stage of like, I felt abandoned by my grandmother because she died. And then it felt like once she passed away, everything else passed with her. And that security that I had as a child was just gone. Yeah, heavy stuff, man. Heavy stuff. Let me back up a little bit. I'm sorry, I'm all in y'all face. My bad. Why y'all ain't telling me to back up? But yeah, so I stopped going and I didn't see him for years. And when I was homeless, like I said, I needed help really bad one time. And I asked him for help and he told me no. And he said, why don't you have a job? Why aren't you doing this and why aren't you doing that? Here is my problem, right? And it's not just with him. I'm tired of you adults putting pressure on young adults to have it together, especially when you know that there's a population of youth out there who come from poor backgrounds, and you guys expect people in their 20s to have everything figured out, knowing that you did not have anything figured out when you were in your 20s. And if you felt like I wasn't doing enough as a person, that's a reflection on you, because where were you to teach me? Where were you to guide me? Where were you to finish raising me and finish instilling those things that you felt I lacked? You should have been there and you wasn't. And I think he took it as I just wanted him like for his money or whatever. And it was never that. What hurt me the most was him being absent. Because I think out of anybody in my life, if you know me personally, when I saw my godfather, my face would light up. He was my world. I love him still. I'm trying not to cry right now talking about him, because now that I'm older and he's not here anymore, you just look back and you think about all the time that's gone, you know? And all that time wasted of me being mad and him being distant, when really all I wanted him to do was be present. All I wanted him to do was just show me that he cared. And he didn't. And then I felt cheated. because when I got the message that he passed away, I spoke to him maybe like a month before. He never said he was sick. And when I wrote him, it was because in that moment I was thinking about everything that had transpired um, in my life so far. And, my dad is in prison right now. So I really don't have, that male protection and bond that I used to have. I don't have that right now. My dad is in prison. And my dad, while he's in prison, he really doesn't um, respond to letters. He really is ashamed of his situation, which he has no reason to be. I will talk about that in a later video. But my dad, I'm a lot like my dad. When things get difficult, I isolate myself. And but aside from me isolating myself, I live in isolation. And I go into that shell, and my dad is in his shell right now. And sometimes, I told my dad, like, you don't have to write me a letter. Like, let me put money on the phone. You could just call me. He doesn't even want to call me. But I need my dad. And, when I wrote my godfather, it was because I needed him back in my life. I was ready to let go of, the issues that we had and just talk about it. And he seemed like he was ready too. He told me, give him some time. We was gonna, meet and just talk and, reunite. I really wanted that relationship back bad. I needed it. I didn't want to let any more time pass before we reconciled, because the love that I have for my godfather outweighs any pain or disappointment, that I may have felt from him and his absence in my life. It hurts, and I graduated last year, and I wanted to share that with him, but I couldn't. And you get to a point where you're succeeding and you're winning and everything feels like it's going great, and then you look around and the people that you love the most are nowhere near. They're nowhere to be found. They're not there. I didn't chase them away. They backed away from me. I'm the child in the situation, You ran from me when you should have been here. But I realized that I had to let that go if I wanted a relationship with him. So I wrote him. He responded. And while he was responding, in real time, he's sick. He has cancer. And I'm guessing, like, my godfather was, like, notoriously private. I think that's where I get the fact that I like to be notorious. Like, I like my privacy a lot. And I get that from him. So, yeah, like a month later, my brother's god sister wrote me and told me that he passed away. And I felt like all the wind was like just, I couldn't take it, I'm not really, I always say I'm a crybaby, but, like, I'm sorry, y'all, my ear is itching. Like, I clean my ears all the time, but you ever went to the hair salon and they keep putting, like, water in your ear? Oh my gosh, that annoys me. How you don't see my ear? You might as well just take the little holes and just put it right there by my ear, because you're bugging right now. All right, I'm sorry, y'all. But yeah, it's tough. And I spoke to his niece, and his niece told me, like, he waited a year after he was diagnosed for cancer to let them know. He went a while without telling them. But in the end, they got something that I didn't get. They got to say their goodbyes. They got to hear him tell them that he loved them. they got to, you know, be with him in that moment. And I didn't. I didn't get that. I didn't get the heads up. I didn't get the chance. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, even when it was his birthday and we wasn't really talking, I know that was very important to him to like hear from me. And I would tell him, I don't know how he felt in his view. I don't know how he felt. And I'm not going to say how he felt is invalid because everybody has their reasons for doing things. My thing is, you could have felt all those things and still had been present. But I felt cheated, and I could like that. 2020 was a very difficult year for me. Um, I couldn't interact with anyone. I couldn't talk. I just cried over and over. I'm walking down a hallway. I'm trying to, go out and just like get some fresh air, and I collapsed like in my corridor. Um, I opened my door, and my roommate would just look at me and say, "Are you okay?" And I have to turn around immediately because I just start crying all over again. Then I hear, I won't complain. I'm playing that song over and over because he sounds just like the preacher guy who's actually sings that song. My Godfather has a similar voice to him, and I'm breaking down crying, and I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to rationalize. I'm trying to figure out, why did I wait so long? Is it my fault? Is it this? Is it that? Is it that? You will drive yourself crazy thinking about what you could have did better. Because the reality is that, you can't do the work by yourself. And he was someone who was very private, and he wouldn't tell you, and he would keep things to himself. So I would have never got that from him. But I can't help to think maybe if I was in his life more, that would have never happened. Because then I found myself feeling like I had to prove that I was his goddaughter. And that hurts. It hurts. It still hurts. And I didn't deal with the grief. I still really haven't dealt with the grief. It's like living in a world where him and my grandmother, my grandmother broke my heart when she died. It broke me. When my godfather died, it shattered my heart. I don't think, and I just didn't deal with it. I still haven't dealt with it, which is another reason why I'm in therapy, because um, I'm ready to heal. I'm ready to talk about it. I'm ready to acknowledge, um, and my thing is, when I was honoring him and I was talking about him on Facebook, you will never see me fabricate. You will never see me fabricate anything about our relationship. I keep it 1,000. We was not on the best terms. Um, Time ran out. I wish I could rewind it back, but I was trying to make amends, and I feel good about that. And the last time we spoke, he says to me, I love you, baby girl. And he always said to me, like, I'm his baby girl. I love you, baby girl. Happy birthday, baby girl. I hope you're okay, baby girl. Pray about it, baby girl. And it's comforting, but it's not enough. So I am in therapy because I hadn't dealt with a close death since my grandmother died. And I'm an adult now. I was a child when my grandmother died. And I just, that was over 18, 17 years ago. At that last year, it was 17 years ago. This year, we're coming up on 18. Excuse me. But, yeah, it's just, it's difficult, y'all. But, I'm trying. I really am. I want to be in a position where I'm able to express my emotions because I do have a problem expressing myself, and I'm very closed off, and I'm trying to change it, but it's hard because it's like the people that I need to address and hold accountable, I can't do it. Because I didn't deal with the grief and because I didn't get help when I should have, I ended up in going back to an abusive relationship. Well, it wasn't abusive when we. It didn't get abusive the way it got last year. Um, I did a lot of impulsive things. I got up and I left New York because everything in New York just hurt so much. You know, I couldn't be here. I had to be far away. And if you know me, you know I always wanted to live in Texas, so that's where I went. And I got my apartment in Texas, and I was just a mess. You know, none of those decisions that I made were good decisions, because they definitely came back to like bite me in the butt. But I'm looking away because I'm trying to contain myself. But you know, it's difficult when I look back now. Before my godfather died, I was really healthy. I was working out. I lost a lot of weight. And when I found out he passed away, I got into an abusive relationship and I gained all that weight back. And I kept sinking. You know, I just kept sinking and sinking and sinking and being abused in a relationship verbally, almost physically, emotionally, just dealing with like things that I would never put myself through in reality. But it was just, you know, there's a safe space. Not there's a safe space. There's a certain thing about being in an abusive relationship that provides a safety net for you, right? Because you know for a fact that this person is going to mistreat you, but you don't know what's behind the door. So you stay, even though you know it's not going to work, even though you know you need to leave, even though you stay because there's a comfortability in abuse. And I'm going to say this is why I don't talk about personal things on Facebook. I joke around a lot. Sometimes I get serious here and there. But as I get older, you know, these are experiences that I want to keep to myself. I'm not that person that's going to be on Facebook looking for sympathy all day and complaining all day, because a part of my healing for me is also acknowledging the role that I play. I have to hold myself accountable for the choices and the decisions that I make. And I'm not saying that excuses whatever someone does to me, but if I'm not accountable and if I don't acknowledge that I gave that person the space to mistreat me and abuse me, how can I hold them accountable if I won't even hold myself? Because one thing I've learned about myself is I don't like to play victim. I don't want to be a victim. Victims are helpless. I never want to be helpless. You know who are victims? Children and babies. Me as a grown-ass woman today, 28 years old, who has survived so many things in my life, the last thing I want to be is a victim. Because even when I was a victim, I still didn't get help. I still didn't get that assistance that I needed. I still didn't get that space to heal and to acknowledge what was wrong. I still did not get that space to just exist as a person. I still did not get the help that I needed when I was a victim. And nobody came to save me when I needed saving the most. You know, let me say this. When my grandmother died, her whole family turned their back on us. I watched my grandmother die on a sidewalk in Harlem. She died on the very street that our church was on. Because she loved that church so much, she was not feeling well. She still wanted to, like, push through and try to go to the church because it was someone's grandmother's funeral. And she died on that street trying to give herself to a church that didn't give two fucks about her. And she was with her granddaughter, who was 10 years old and can't do anything about what's going on. And I've suffered from PTSD watching the first person that I've ever loved, the first person to love me, to take care of me, to want me, die in front of me. And nobody was there. Nobody ever asked me, are you okay? Would you like to talk about it? Because y'all don't think about children in those spaces. Y'all don't care. Y'all don't care. And then you try to pacify the issues, and these children grow up to be adults who can't function emotionally. Because essentially, like, I acknowledge that I do have a very big problem showing emotions. I'm probably one of those people who you'll never get an emotion out of me because I'm so guarded. Like, I just don't trust people. I don't trust your intentions with my feelings. And the love that I have to give is so strong, and I can't just give it to you. But I also don't want to be in an emotional space. Like, I don't like that emotional shit. Like, you got to toughen up around me. And that's a bad way to be. It's a bad way to be. I'm telling you, it's a bad way to be. But it's also protecting me. I'm going off topic. I'm sorry, y'all. But, yeah. I didn't deal with the fact that I lost someone who is like, my godfather is one of those people where I never have to say how I feel about him because everybody knows it. If you know me and you know him, you know how I feel about him. I never have to say it. If there's anybody that I would ever ask for, it's always going to be him. It's been a year and a little over a month since he passed away. And I have nothing. Nothing. I don't have pictures of us together. I don't have a keepsake of his. I don't have a last memory of him. I don't have pictures of him. I upload pictures on Facebook, but I mean personally, I don't have pictures of him. I don't have something that I can like hold and, cry about. And, I don't have that. And that hurts. And it adds to the pain. And again, this is why I'm in therapy, because I want to get to a place in my life where not that things have to be perfect, but I just want to get into a space where it's like I'm able to show my emotions and be okay with it and not be so guarded all the time and defensive. Because I'm very nonchalant and I wouldn't say I'm carefree, but it is a poker face. I have to yawn, y'all. I'm sorry. I did it early in this video. I have to yawn. I'm tired. I've been working hard. I've been, going through some things, like I said. And I'm trying to deal with the things that are broken inside of me because I don't want to get to the age of 30 in 2 years and I've worked nothing out. And I'm still in the same place that I was, when I was that scared 10-year-old, when I was that frightened 15-year-old, when I was that bold 21 and immediately homeless after. I don't want to carry all of this stuff with me into my 30s. I'm not expecting to be happy all the time. because that's unrealistic. I want to feel all my emotions, though. I want to feel what it's like to be happy. I want to feel what it's like to be sad. I want to feel what it's like to be joyous. I want to, well, joyful. I said joyous. I want to feel what it's like to be joyful. I want to feel what it's like to experience these emotions and be healthy in it, because that's something that we don't talk about. Everybody always want to chase. You always want to chase happiness. Everybody always wants to chase happiness, not understanding that being happy is a feeling, not a destination. So, I just wanted to come and talk to you guys a little bit about what's been going on with me and give you an update on where I am, and just kind of be honest with you guys. As you can see, like, my bags are going away. Last month they were horrible because excuse me, I'm sorry, because yeah, I've been working hard. And I know people say I should edit out the yawns and stuff like that, but I'm not, because I want y'all to get the real me, and I'm gonna be honest with y'all. And it is what it is, we human. And 9 times out of 10, you're gonna yawn too, like I'm doing right now. You're gonna yawn too once you see me yawning. So you're welcome. Anyway, that's all I have for y'all today. I want you guys to like, comment, and subscribe. Talk to me. Tell me if you understand what I was talking about today. Let's connect. Tell me what you're feeling, how you're feeling, how's your day going, what are some of your short-term goals, what are some of your long-term goals, what are you looking for out of life. Just talk to me, okay? All right. Peace, y'all. I'm out. Oh, and you can follow me on Instagram at NeiceyBX, NeiceyBeex. I'm not giving my Facebook out because that is for personal friends only. And yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram. And if you want to add me on Snapchat, it's the same handle as Instagram, NeiceyBeex, NeiceyBeex. Okay? So thank you guys for coming in the room today. I really appreciated y'all coming in here with the kid, talking to me for a little bit. You guys uplift my spirit, and I want the best for every single one of you guys, all right? So until next time, keep striving, keep hustling, keep going. I wish I could put some music in here, but I ain't trying to get copyrighted. I'll talk to y'all later, okay? Deuces.